This is Walter Zapotachny with the 28th Infantry Division Association Oral History Program. I'm here on September 3rd with Tom Farragher. Thank you very much, Tom, for your willingness to sit down and talk with us a little bit and tell us a little bit about your story. We greatly appreciate it.
You're welcome, sir, Major.
All right. Well, let's get started. Where were you born?
Teaneck, New Jersey, on 30 April 1964 at Holy Name Hospital.
Okay, great. So obviously you joined the military, and what were your parents or siblings' feelings about you going into the service at the time?
They were very positive about it because both my father and my maternal grandfather served in the U.S. Navy, and then I had a granduncle who was in the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. He was in the 28th Infantry Division, and he was called up. He was called up for the Mexican border expedition, and then for World War I. But unfortunately, he was killed in the Argonne Forest.
Okay. Did you go into the service right after high school?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of jobs did you hold while you were waiting to go to the service? Did you do anything, or just waiting to go to basic training?
Well, just waiting to go. I mean, I had some jobs like in high school, but I mean, I don't know if that's really worth getting into. But I was just waiting to go after high school.
Yeah. Did a lot of your friends go as well?
No, there was only one other person in my class, a female, and she went to the Navy as well, but she went in for the advanced technical field, which required a 6-year enlistment, and she wound up staying in the full 20 years.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about your Navy experience.
Okay. I enlisted. I was in the late entry program for nearly 8 months, from 30 December 1981 until 25 August 1982. And in that time, I had moved from Pennsylvania to from New Jersey to Pennsylvania, because my parents were native Philadelphians and they wanted to come back. And I went through recruit training in 1982 at RTC Orlando, which no longer exists. And then for my advanced training, they called my A school in the Navy, which is like an MOSQ school. Went to NTTC, Meridian, Mississippi, for the rate of aviation storekeeper, AK in Navy abbreviation.
Okay. How many years did you spend in the Navy then?
3 years, 11 months, and 17 days. I got an early out because the ship was going to go overseas again, going to deploy again, and my enlistment would run out during the time of a week into the deployment. So it was pointless for just have me for a week and then fly me off.
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, how did you happen to join the 28th Division?
Well, a lot of times when my father and I would drive to the airport in Philadelphia, we passed by the old armory in Philadelphia, the old Ogontz Avenue, which used to be the headquarters of the 1st Squadron, 104th Cavalry. It's been closed now. The state sold it, and I think it's turned into a storage place.
And so that interests you in looking at the National Guard then at that point, huh?
Yes. I mean, there was also some advertising about your prior service, you can keep your rank and, things like that, like in magazines at the time. So
what was the unit that you actually joined then?
HHC 56th Brigade.
Okay.
Up in Southampton Road, that used to be in Southampton Road in Northeast Philadelphia.
Yeah. What type of training or schooling did you receive then with the National Guard?
Well, I was on the job. I mean, because at the time the policy was for prior service enlistees, no matter what branch, you didn't go through basic combat training. Nowadays it's different. But the policy then was, you were Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard. You didn't have to go through Army basic training. I know that now it's only if you were your prior service non-Army or Marine Corps, you have to go through basic. But I think I would have been a better trained soldier had I gone through basic training, because I wouldn't have had the problems I did with learning how to fire the M16A1 and A2.
Mm-hmm. A little different than what the Navy had, I guess.
The Navy didn't have much firearms training. We just had the 45 one day with the 45, and I was in the shipboard defense force, and they had weapons like M14s and M60s.
Mm-hmm.
Which didn't get a chance to fire. I didn't get a chance to fire them though.
Were there any particular instructors that stand out to you in your mind, whether it be from your Navy training or in the National Guard?
I'd say when I was an active component BNOC for 71 Delta, when I was at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, there was a sergeant there, my small group leader named Staff Sergeant Monica Krause, because she was a legal specialist, but she was also airborne and air assault qualified. I think she just came from the 82nd prior to coming to Fort Jackson, and she seemed the kind of soldier that would kind of push and challenge herself and try to challenge you as an individual. And I think today, if she was in the Army today, she probably would have gone through Ranger School.
Okay. Did you qualify with any specific or specialized equipment, radios, weapons, anything like that, after you finally got into the Guard?
Other than with the M16A1 and A2, I qualified to drive many vehicles.
Okay.
Such as the Cut V and Blazer and 3/4 ton truck, the M880 3/4 ton truck, the quarter ton Jeep, the Humvee, the Deuce and a Half, and the 48 passenger bus. In fact, I even received a driver mechanic badge with a driver wheel bar.
Okay, good. What do you think was the hardest part of your training, whether it be your time in the Navy or even in the Guard?
I guess getting used to the idea of collective punishment for the actions of one person, because when I was growing up, I wasn't into team sports or, and activities where a coach would punish the whole team for the actions of one player. So in my family, my mother or father would discipline me or my sister based on, what we did rather than both of us.
Yeah.
So it was just a different concept. I had to adjust to it.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your promotions, moving up in the rank.
Well, in the Navy, I went from Seaman Recruit E1 to Petty Officer 3rd Class, AK3, E4. And then in the Guard, I made Sergeant in about 16 months because I was MOSQ and because of my prior service, and there was a sergeant slot in the company. And
you eventually got into the AGR program? Is that correct?
I did. I spent 1 year in C Company, First 111th, up at Doylestown. Then I transferred back to the Brigade HHC, and then I was in there, and I was sort of at loose ends with work. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I tried school, I tried working different jobs, and I was sort of at my loose ends, and I was thinking about going into the regular Army. But then the AGR position opened up for the unit sergeant, unit E5 unit clerk, 75 Bravo in the company, and I was encouraged to apply for it, and I did.
Good. What was the easiest part of military life, do you think, for you to adapt to?
I'd say I always, from earliest memory, I always wanted to serve, so I found it not very difficult to adapt to the military environment. And, it just seemed to me that almost instinctively or intuitively to understand why something was being done.
Okay. Did you deploy to any combat zones?
No, I did only one Mediterranean deployment in the Navy in 1985, and I didn't deploy in the Guard because I had some medical issues toward the end that kept me from going to Kosovo for the recovery for Hurricane Katrina and Rita, and Iraq.
Did you go overseas to do any overseas training with the Guard?
Yes. I went twice in 1999 and 2000 to Grafenwehr. We did the division warfighter exercises. They were large scale computer-based command post exercises.
Did you develop any, or what kinds of friendship or camaraderie did you form while you were serving?
Well, not so much with people I knew from the Navy. I didn't continue any friendships from there. But in the Guard, I made friends with. I have several friends, both officer and enlisted, who are still. I mean, obviously with military courtesy, still recall my rank or sir, but we made some long-term friendships. They continue to this day. We either just talking or via social media such as Facebook.
Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual things that happened during your service time?
I'd say the best thing that happened when I was in BNOC down at Fort Jackson, and my unit sent me a sample pack of tasty cakes. And I was the only National Guard soldier in the group, about 12 students. They were all regular. The rest of them were all regular Army, and a lot of them didn't live anywhere where their tasty cakes were available. So I was the man. I was very popular, for that day in class. When I shared all the tasty cakes, I could eat them all the time.
Sure.
But they couldn't. So just try it. They might like it.
Okay. Some people have told me that they did certain things for good luck, like they carried a charm or a medal or even a rabbit's foot or anything like that. Did you ever do that?
No, never engaged in that practice. Just have a good luck charm or other good luck token that I would keep.
Okay. Overall, what do you think was the best part of your military experience?
I'd say best of all, with being in the National Guard and being AGR, being able to have one foot in the civilian community and one in the military community, and not having to move every 3 or so years, like the active duty folks have to do.
Okay. Do you recall the last day of your service in the National Guard when you retired?
Well, it was a longer process. I mean, because of retirement, it was a longer process. It took me. I had to go out. First, I had to go through the Army community was the ACAP for the Army Community Alumni Program for pre-retirement counseling and get like resumes done and.
Okay.
And then there was the retirement physical, and then also there was a concerted effort. Unlike when I got out of the Navy, there was a very concerted effort to have veterans and retirees apply for VA military disability benefits. And I was rated at 10% for conditions I incurred in the line of duty while I was full-time Guard.
Okay. Did you take advantage of the GI Bill?
Yes, both after the Navy, they had I was the precursor. It was in between the Vietnam GI Bill and the 1980s GI Bill. Was called the VEAP, Veterans Educational Assistance Program. It was pretty stingy compared to the earlier GI Bill and the later GI Bill, but that's what was available. And then eventually I used in the Guard. I used the tuition credit program. I used the educational assistance program, the Montgomery Reserve GI Bill, and Army tuition assistance from Fort Dix or Carlisle to help pay for my tuition.
And where'd you go to school, and what did you major in?
Well, I started out I attended Montgomery County Community College after the Navy, then at an art school for 1 year, but I didn't finish. But then when I went to Guard, I attended Community College of Philadelphia at LaSalle University. I graduated from LaSalle before I graduated from the community college, sort of backwards.
Yeah, it does sound a little backward. What was your major?
English.
English, okay. Do you continue to have friendships that you developed, associations with friends that you had made during your service? Do you continue with that?
Yes. I mean, some of it is through the organizing the annual dining out for the 1st Battalion, 111th Infantry. And get-togethers with people from the HHC 56th Brigade, but less formal things like lunch, like breakfast or lunches.
Did you join any veteran organizations?
Yes, I'm in several. I'm in some are veterans, some are like military professional organizations such as the American Legion, Disabled American Veterans, Enlisted Association of the United States Army. National Infantry Association, the Adjutant General's Corps Regimental Association, and the Enlisted Association of the National Guard of the United States.
Okay.
I'm a life member of all of them.
Did your military service affect your family in any way that you can think of?
Well, I don't have a wife or children, so it didn't really impose upon them, and it didn't. My extended family, like my parents and other relatives, it didn't affect them too much. It's just something that I did, and
okay,
didn't have much of an impact on them.
What are some life lessons that you learned from your military service?
Well, I would say teamwork, working well within a group, and using tact and respect to try to get things done.
Is there anything that you would like to share with up-and-coming soldiers based on your experience?
Yes. Take advantage of all the training and educational opportunities you can. I mean, particularly with the such programs which I didn't have when I was in, such as the Expert Soldier Badge and and of course whatever training, educational opportunities available, whether military or civilian. There's a lot more military schools available now than there was before in the Guard, and because that was because they could locate them within the Tenant Gap versus having to go to Fort Moore or for some other large Army post to go do it.
Right.
And also civilian education, whether online or local resident instruction.
Okay. What was the one question you wished I would have asked you, but I didn't?
I'd say whether I felt I would have been a better soldier, having gone through basic combat training in the Army, at the time, versus, because at the time the Army policy was that on prior service didn't.
Right.
But I felt it would have been better for me to go, just a better adjustment to the Army.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about? You'd like to share with our members and viewers?
Yeah, I'm just trying to look over if we missed any topics. I think you pretty much covered the whole gamut, Sergeant Major.
Okay. Well, listen, Tom, I really appreciate your taking the time, driving the whole way from Philadelphia to come in here to Harrisburg Military Post and sit down and chat with us a little bit. And, we greatly appreciate it. And yours and other veterans that we interview stories are important for future generations, for family members, for researchers to look at and understand what soldiers go through. So we greatly appreciate it. Thank you again.
You're welcome, Sergeant Major.